Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Who was in charge of burying the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family? Who was in charge of his whole funeral service? Who was the man who led the funeral prayer? Who was the man who bathed the Prophet, who washed him, who shrouded him? Who was the man who took the Prophet and buried him below the earth and sprinkled the water on his holy grave in Medina? Indeed, one of the greatest accolades bestowed upon Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, was that he was the man who was in charge of arguably one of the most important burials in the history of the religion of Islam, if not the most important. Indeed, many people assume that by the time the Prophet died in Medina, because there were hundreds of thousands of Muslims in Medina, that would be the number who attended his funeral. Many would assume that normally when someone dies in a community, if he's not very well known in that community, maybe 10, 15 people may turn up. If he's quite well known, maybe 50 to 60 may turn up. If he's well known, maybe in the hundreds will turn up. If he's really well known, maybe in the thousands will turn up. When you look at the funeral of the Holy Prophet, the greatest of God's creation, the mercy to the universe, you find that there were not more than 7 or 8 people who turned up to the funeral of Rasulullah. Indeed, the period before the death of Rasulullah and the period just after the death of Rasulullah was the most turbulent period Ali ibn Abi Talib ever faced in his life. From the coronation of Ali ibn Abi Talib on the day of Ghadir, when the Prophet announced him as his wali, until a couple of months after Rasulullah died, was the most difficult 4 months in the life of Ali ibn Abi Talib. From one point, he was the highest in the religion of Islam after the Prophet. Until a couple of months after Rasulullah died, he was at his lowest ebb. The world had turned upside down for Ali ibn Abi Talib completely. Ali ibn Abi Talib, from the day of Ghadir, when the Prophet said, "Man kuntu mawla, fahada aliyun mawla," was at an extremely high point. Only a couple of days after Rasulullah died, he began to notice that all those honeys who had surrounded, or all those bees who had surrounded the honey, had now left that honey and were far away. And the verse of the Quran which said, وَمِمَّنْ حَوْلَكُمْ مِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مُنَافِقُونَ وَمِنْ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ مَرَجُوا عَلَى النِّفَاقِ. Surah 9 verse 101, it said to the Prophet, around you of the desert Bedouins there are what? Hypocrites. And the people of Medina, they are stern in their hypocrisy. You do not know them, we know them. We'll punish them, double the punishment. Suddenly all that hypocrisy began to emerge. Rasulullah, God's greatest creation, did not have more than 6 people at his funeral service. In a community of 100,000, a community who all claimed to love him, a community who he had sacrificed everything for, by the time he dies, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib is with 5 others coming near his body to wash him and shroud him. One of the most difficult times for Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, if not the most difficult, was the period just before Rasulullah died and just after. Just before Rasulullah died, he saw an expedition that was meant to leave, but with people saying, we'll never go with that expedition. Just before Rasulullah died, he saw a group of people who claimed to love Rasulullah call him delirious. Just after Rasulullah died, where your best friend's funeral, would you ever leave it? Would you ever hijack it? Would you ever leave your best friend's body alone? All of a sudden there's an election taking place to decide who looks after Medina. Within a few days after that, Fatimah al-Zahra is attacked in her own house. A few days after that, the house of Fatimah is burnt. From being the most glorious house, from Ali having the best of positions, you found the world turned upside down. At the age of 33, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib saw all those who claimed to love Rasulullah suddenly go their own ways. All the true colors of the Muslims around Rasulullah were now being revealed. Those who stayed loyal to Rasulullah would never leave his body when his body is not being buried. I ask all of you here today, if your best friend was buried, or your father is about to be buried, Would you say that I have a business meeting to attend to, however important that meeting is? Wouldn't you make every effort to be there at that funeral? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, with a handful of others, decided they'd remain. And even if Rasulullah wasn't buried yet, or he was buried the day after, they would never leave Rasulullah alone. They'd stay alongside him and not be like those others who went. Indeed, history has made excuses for those who went. Some historians said they had more important things to do. But what is more important than burying Rasulullah? What is more important than being next to the grave to the mercy of mankind? What's more important than honoring the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth? You find that if you read the books of history, they are unanimous that in the month of Dhul Hijjah, Fatimah al-Zahra and Ali were the most honorable people in the whole of Islam. A few months later, Fatimah al-Zahra had died. And a few months later, Islam had turned on its head. Therefore, this year, the 33rd year of his life, of 63 years on this earth, was his most difficult. On the one hand, he lost his most beloved. On the other hand, he lost his most beloved. And he faced the biggest test any of the Ma'sooms ever faced in their life. All of a sudden, the world turned on Ali ibn Abi Talib. And how it turned. Tonight, I'd like to examine that turbulent period in his life. The period just before Rasulullah died, what happened? And the period just after Rasulullah died, what happened? And I'd like to examine this in the following stages. Number one, after Ghadir, how many months did Rasulullah live? And what expedition did Rasulullah want to leave Medina? And what was the reactions of his companions? Number two, when the Prophet found out that his companions hadn't left, how did this hurt him? And what did he do when he said, I want to write a will where you will never go astray? Number three, what fight took place when he was trying to write his will? Number four, who was the last person to see Rasulullah? And why did they need to change history so it was given to someone other than Ali? Number five, what did Rasulullah tell Imam Ali about what would happen? Number six, how did Imam Ali bury Rasulullah? And who joined him when turning over the body? And what did Rasulullah say in his wasiyah? That only Ali can bury me. If anyone else tries, then something will happen to them. What would happen to them? Number seven, when Sakifa happened, how did it highlight that the companions of Rasulullah, Ansar and Muhajirun, had no respect with each other? And why should every non-Muslim find out about the biggest scam election in this religion's history? And how important is it that we tell the non-Muslims about this scam? Number eight, what happened and why was Fatimah al-Zahra a nemesis for the caliphate? And why did they try and kill her? And how difficult was her death on the life of Ali? Let me examine this in order that we understand how 4 months in your life can turn the whole world upside down for you. When Ghadir happened in the 18th of Dhul Hijjah, 10th year after Hijrah, when Ghadir happened, everyone congratulated Imam Ali. Everyone came, said bakhin, bakhin, and the congratulations took place and they all returned to Medina. When they returned to Medina, Rasulullah had wanted to avenge a mission that he felt has not been successful. Zayd, the father of Osama, Ja'far al-Tayyar, and Abdullah ibn Rawaha had lost their lives in the Battle of Mu'tah. When they lost their lives in the Battle of Mu'tah, Rasulullah wanted vengeance for that loss. He wanted the Muslims to go out and avenge what had happened. Rasulullah put in charge of the army an 18-year-old by the name of Osama. Osama's dad had been killed where? Had been killed at the Battle of Mu'tah. Rasulullah called all of his companions. The companions already knew that Rasulullah was on his last days. Rasulullah twice mentioned to them, number one, my time is near, my God has made it clear to me. And number two, Jibreel has reviewed the Quran with me twice. Normally he reviews it once. Therefore I know these are my final days. So he said to them, I want you to go and I want you to avenge what happened at Mu'tah. He put Osama in charge. Osama was 18 years of age. Osama being 18 years of age, this was something people ask questions about. That how is it that the Prophet Muhammad puts an 18-year-old in charge? The Holy Prophet wanted to highlight there is nothing wrong with youth being at the forefront of the religion. Someone who's 18, if they are honorable and they have wisdom, then there is nothing wrong with them being at the forefront of the religion. Therefore, what you find, Osama, when the companions heard that he's in charge, Abu Bakr and Umar turned around. They said, how could you put us under the charge of an 18-year-old when we are much older than him? When they said that, this caused a sort of dissension. The Prophet said, I have put him in charge. His father was killed. Where? At Mu'tah. And I want him to be the one in charge of the leadership. Remember, a few years earlier, at Hunayn, Osama didn't run away from Hunayn. The others ran. Osama had remained loyal to Ali at Hunayn at the age of 15. Therefore, Rasulullah saw the bravery in Osama, that Osama would be able to lead. So Rasulullah sent the expedition. He told them, La'na on those who do not go with Osama. Because sometimes in our communities, people say we shouldn't do la'na. You say, why? They say Rasulullah never done la'na. This is one of the most famous hadiths where he said la'na on those who turn away from Osama's army. Yes? There is a withdrawal of mercy from those who turn away from the army of Osama. Rasulullah wanted certain people out of Medina quickly. Why? He knew that their presence in Medina would block what would happen when Rasulullah dies. He wanted them far away from Medina. And you found that instead of these people moving, they were turning around saying, what? We are under an 18-year-old. Some of us are in our 50s. Some of us are in our 40s. And this 18-year-old is in charge of us? So what do you find? You find that what happened was, they remained in Medina. Rasulullah would constantly ask, has the army left? No. Osama's gone. They said, Ya Rasulullah, Osama's gone ahead. But the army's not joining him. Abu Bakr and Umar are remaining behind. Rasulullah would become saddened. He'd keep saying, La'na on those who don't join the army of Osama. 19th of Safar. Rasulullah died when, according to us? 28th of Safar, yes? By the 19th of Safar, the army had still not left. Many times Rasulullah had said, get out of Medina, go with the army. They still wouldn't leave. Abu Bakr, Umar, the rest of the companions would not leave that area. They would remain behind in Medina. The excuse history made for them was what? Was that because Rasulullah was ill, they couldn't bear to leave Medina knowing he's ill. Rasulullah, up until the 19th of Safar, was not ill. He would go to Jannat al-Baqi', he'd go and visit the graves of Baqi', then he'd come home. One day Aisha says that he was coming home. I said to him, I have a headache. I have a headache. He said to her, rather I should be the one with the headache. Then he said to her, but Aisha, don't you wish that you die before me so that I lead your funeral prayers and I pray over you? She said, even then you'll still go to your other wives, but not me. Anyway, so on the 19th of Safar, Rasulullah would hear this and he would still want them to go with the army of Osama. They wouldn't go, they'd stay behind. And you can read any book of history. They did not leave with the army of Osama. Rasulullah would do what? He'd go from one wife to the other, from Aisha's house to Maymuna's house. If he wants to lead Salah on those final days, he'd ask Imam Ali and his uncle Abbas, carry me to the mosque so I can lead Salah. He'd go, he'd speak to the people until a couple of days before he passed away. He passed away on a Monday, on the Thursday. And what a Thursday, Ibn Abbas says. The calamity of calamities. Google tonight, everyone in this hall. I want you to all Google calamity of Thursday. And if you have any friends of yours from any other school in Islam, tell them, what's this calamity of Thursday? Rasulullah, in his last few days, he's on his deathbed. On his deathbed, he says, and bring me a pen and paper. I will write for you that where you will never go astray. Yes? Ibn Abbas, when he narrates this hadith, and you can find the hadith in Muslim and Bukhari, just go on Google tonight. Type calamity of Thursday. Ibn Abbas, when he narrates this hadith, you know what he says? He says, cried so much that the pebbles under him became wet of how much he cries when he remembers that Thursday. He says, Rasulullah was on his deathbed. While Rasulullah was on his deathbed, he said, while he's on his deathbed, he said to us, bring us a pen and paper. I will write for you that which you will not go astray. I ask all of you, I ask everyone watching this lecture on the 21st night of Ramadan, if your father said to you now, go and bring me a pen and paper, I'll write for you that which you won't go astray. Wouldn't you straight away give it to him? Would you dare to jump in and tell your father what to say? And even though we know our fathers make mistakes, how about Rasulullah? Rasulullah said, give me a pen and paper, I will write for you. That's where you will never go astray. Someone asks, why would Rasulullah leave writing a will so late? Why doesn't Rasulullah make sure that the will is a will which is done before? There are two types of wills in Islam. There's a will about your goods, about your loans. The second type of will is a will of advice. Rasulullah's will about what he owns and what he owes others, he asked Ali ibn Abi Talib to already execute it. It was already written. This will wasn't a will about which commodities I own and who they are to be distributed to. This will was the will of advice to the Muslims. Rasulullah turned around to his companions. He said to them, give me a pen and paper, I'll write for you that where you will never go astray. Umar ibn al-Khattab turns round to Rasulullah, says to him, you are delirious, the Qur'an's enough for us. Would you in your life ever have the audacity to call your father delirious? In your life? I ask the person listening to this lecture, would you call your father delirious? However ill your father is, do you have it in you to call him crazy? Do you have it in him to call him delirious? The man who Rasulullah sent as a mercy, Umar ibn al-Khattab turns around to him and says, you are delirious. The Quran is enough for us. Others, what did they say? They said, Umar, because of how much he cared for Rasulullah, that Rasulullah was really ill, that's why Umar said that. Then why in the same hadith does it say the companions then had a fight with each other? If Umar said something out of polite advice, you're not going to have a punch-up with each other, are you? What's going to happen? You're going to say, oh Umar, thank you for your kind words. A fight, the hadith, calamity of Thursday says, a fight happened between the companions. Rasulullah said to all of them, leave my house. Let Ali remain behind. In other words, before Rasulullah even died, the companions wouldn't go on Osama's expedition. And that's why those who come and say to me, Abu Bakr led the final prayers. That's a sign that Abu Bakr is Rasulullah's successor. What's Abu Bakr doing in Medina at the time? He's meant to be with Osama, yes? Abu Bakr is not meant to be in Medina. He's meant to be with Osama's army. Those who say that it's a merit that Abu Bakr led Salah, what's he doing in Medina? He's meant to be with Osama's army. And we know what Rasulullah said about that army. Therefore, they said to Rasulullah, you are delirious. The Quran's enough for us. Rasulullah told all of them, leave my room. All of you leave. All of them were told to leave. Ali ibn Abi Talib remains behind. If you read the books of hadith, what do they say? They say that on the day or the day before Rasulullah died, Rasulullah called three different groups of people. The first he called was Fatimah al-Zahra, salawatullah wa salamu alayha. When he called Fatimah al-Zahra alayhi salam, he whispered something in her ear. She began to cry, then she began to smile. When they asked her, Fatima, why are you crying? Why are you smiling? She said, I cried because my father said to me, it's in these moments that he's going to pass away, yes? He's going to return to his Lord. Why are you smiling, O Fatima? Because he told me that I will be the first to join him, yes? Fatima al-Zahra, Rasulullah saw her just before he died. He said that to her. Then he told them, bring Hassan and Hussein. When they brought Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, what did he do? He kissed Imam al-Hassan, he kissed Imam al-Hussein, he hugged them. The hadith says, they cried uncontrollably. The children were crying for their father. The father crying for his grandchildren. And then after that, he called out whom? He called Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was the last to see Rasulullah. The books of history gave it to someone else, so that when she fights Ali ibn Abi Talib, she has merits before that day, yes? But the reality is, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib is the one who was the last to see Rasulullah. And that Salama says, the hadith is clear, Salama herself says that I am the one who saw Rasulullah say, where is Ali? Where is Ali? Where is Ali? Says when Ali came, I was the last of the wives to leave. And I could see him talking to Ali ibn Abi Talib. And what did he say to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib? He told Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib as he was dying, he said to him, oh Ali, you will be the first to join me at the pool of Kawthar. Yes? Oh Ali, you will see much trouble after me. Remain patient. You will see people who lust for this world You are the one who should prefer the hereafter. Yes? He told him all of this. Then he said to him, "Oh Ali, from the expedition of Osama's army, I borrowed some money from one of the Jews in Medina. Go and give the money back to him, for that money is owed to him." After that, he died in the lap of Ali ibn Abi Talib. That's where he passed away. When he passed away next to Imam Ali. And he had made it clear, only Ali ibn Abi Talib can bathe me, nobody else. For if anyone else tries to bathe me, they'll become blind looking at me in that way. Yes? Because to wash anyone's body requires an amount of sanctity. Ali ibn Abi Talib was the only one who Rasulullah said, and Ibn Sa'ad narrates this in the Tabaqat. He says, Rasulullah said, Ali ibn Abi Talib is the only one of all of you who can bathe me when I die. Otherwise, you will become blind looking at my body in that state. Therefore, you found Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, the books of history, what do they say? When Rasulullah died, they only mentioned 6 or 7 names who were at the funeral service of Rasulullah. My dear brothers, understand this. 6 or 7 people at the funeral of Rasulullah. Can you believe that? As in someone would say, what do you mean 6 or 7? Muhammad, the greatest of God's creations. Muhammad, the mercy to mankind. Peace be upon him and his family. You're telling me there was only 6 or 7? In the janazah of Rasulullah, there was not more than 7 people when Ali ibn Abi Talib led the janazah. And if you want to see the names who are normally mentioned, Imam Ali, his uncle Abbas, Al-Fadl ibn al-Abbas, then you have Osama bin Zayd, because he had come back with the companions not coming out for war. Then you had Aus, the son of Khuli al-Ansari. These were the people, and you had another cousin of Abbas. These were the people who were at the funeral service. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was with them. They buried Rasulullah. Was there anyone else? You see, history tried to give others, yes? For example, some said that Mughira bin Shu'bah came and his ring fell in the grave of Rasulullah, and he was the last to hug Rasulullah. Not at all. The people who attended the funeral of Rasulullah, Imam Ali led the funeral prayers. Our brothers in other schools, what do they say? There was no funeral prayers of Rasulullah. You could come to visit him in your own time, do your takbirs, and go home. Because this suits certain people, correct or no? If you're not there at that time of the funeral prayer, you could come at any time. Coming at any time means what? Means if I'm not there in his funeral and I've gone to do something else, I can come back a couple of days later and I can then pray, and then there will be no funeral prayer. Anyone can come at any time. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib led the first funeral prayer, 7 people with him. Jibreel had turned over the body of Rasulullah on one side, Imam would wash the other. Then when Jibreel turns it on the other, Imam would wash the other. Until the Imam had placed the body of Rasulullah in the grave, he led the funeral prayer. 7 came in the first funeral prayer. There was a second funeral prayer. 10 of them were there. If that's the case, then where were the best friends of Rasulullah? Yes? Because everybody claims that Rasulullah's best friends were so and so and so and so. They'll say Abu Bakr, Umar, others were the best friends of Rasulullah. Where were they in the burial of Rasulullah? One of the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah, what does he say? He says it was great that Abu Bakr wasn't there when Rasulullah died. Why? He says because all the companions had lost their head in grief. Abu Bakr, the fact that he wasn't there means he could act calmer than everyone. Yes? Then he says what? When they asked him, why was Abu Bakr not there at the funeral of Rasulullah? He says because he had more important things to do. What's more important than burying Rasulullah? To go and elect a leader for the Muslims. For the Muslims have no leader. So Abu Bakr and Umar know it's important to choose a leader, but the man who came to bring the religion didn't know it was important. Abu Bakr and Umar knew it was important to have an election. The man who came to bring the religion didn't know it was important to appoint a leader or to announce one. That's why when you ask, where were Rasulullah's best friends when he died? Why weren't they with him the whole 3 days when he was being buried? They had gone to perform the election known as the Sakifa. Yes? The Sakifa election, the biggest scam election in the history of the religion of Islam. You will never find a scam like the Sakifa scam. An absolute scam of an election. And when you look at this election, you see the books of history, they're very clear about the scam that this election was. You imagine, your prophet still hasn't been buried. You go behind his back and you go and appoint, and you go behind his back and you make an election. They went to the Sakifa. When they went to the Sakifa, what did they do? They went to the Sakifa, the Ansar were present in the Sakifa. When the Ansar were present in the Sakifa, the Ansar, who are they? The Ansar of Medina, correct or no? The Ansar were present in Sakifa. The Ansar were trying to pick a leader for themselves. Why were they picking a leader for themselves? They were picking a leader for themselves because they could see that the Muhajirun were trying to hijack, yes? Were not willing to leave Medina to go with Osama. Omar had called the Prophet delirious. Omar had said, whoever says Muhammad is dead, I will behead him. The Ansar went where? The Ansar in Sakifa all gathered together. They said, we are the Ansar. We helped Rasulullah when he was alone in Mecca. We have a greater right to make our own leadership. They knew these Muhajirs are going to leave Ali ibn Abi Talib. So they said, we appoint Sa'ad bin Ubadah to be our leader. Yes? Sa'ad bin Ubadah was of the Ansar, from the Khazrajites of the Ansar. You know the Ansar, Aus and Khazraj? He was from the Khazrajites of the Ansar. Abu Bakr, Umar and Abu Ubaidah Jarrah. You know there were two people who used to bury bodies in Medina. Abu Ubaidah Jarrah and Abu Talha. But Abu Ubaidah went for the election. So there was that other person, he's the only other person who could have buried with Ali ibn Abi Talib, yes? Abu Ubaidah was where? He came with Abu Bakr and Umar to the election. Has Rasulullah been buried? No. You told me you're the best friends of the man. His body still hasn't been buried. You've gone to do an election behind his back? Behind the back of the man you claim you love. And then you turn around and tell me because we have to for the Muslims, so he doesn't know who to appoint for the Muslims? You do? The man who came as a guy doesn't know? Now you know? They went to the election, they saw the Ansar, Abu Bakr stood up. He said, oh Ansar of Medina, we the Muhajirun have given more to the religion of Islam than anybody. We are the ones who were with Rasulullah from the beginning. We sacrificed, we migrated. Then the Ansar said, but we the Ansar have helped Rasulullah here in Medina. Abu Bakr said, but we should not have two leaderships. We only have one. I suggest that Umar ibn al-Khattab or Abu Ubaidah becomes our leader. Then Umar turned around and he said what? He said, no, I suggest what? He said, I suggest that Abu Bakr should be our leader. The Ansar, now look, this is unbelievable, yes? If you show this to a non-Muslim, the non-Muslim will laugh from now until tomorrow morning, yes? The non-Muslim will turn around and say, hold on. So firstly, your Prophet Muhammad doesn't know how to leave a leader behind. Secondly, his companions are now fighting each other who deserves leadership, yes? Thirdly, they're fighting each other while he's still not buried, yes? The Ansar and the Muhajirun, then the Ansar, one of them goes, okay, Muhajirs, you take leadership 1 year, we'll take leadership another. You take it another, we'll take it another. Abu Bakr again objected, he said no. He said, I believe Umar ibn al-Khattab should be leader. Umar ibn al-Khattab turned around and said, no, Abu Bakr should be leader. And if you have two kings in one place, this is going to cause chaos. Of course, Rasulullah had known that. That's why he done Ghadir for us, yes? If you have two kings in one place, it's going to cause chaos. He said, no, the Ansar should have a say. Then at that moment, Umar said, I do not care. We pledge allegiance to Abu Bakr. Abu Ubaidah pledged allegiance. Then, one of the Ansar, by the name of Bishr al-Ansari, he was from the Aus of the Ansar. Sa'ad bin Ubadah was from the Khazraj. The old blood problems came out between them. Bishr al-Ansari came to Abu Bakr and Umar. He said, yes, I am with you. We should not allow Sa'ad bin Ubadah to be the leader. And all of a sudden, in that rigged election, where's the electorate? Where's Salman? Where's Abu Dhar? Where's Miqdad? Where's Ammar? Where's Talha? Where's Zubair? Where's Abdul Rahman bin Auf? Have you ever in your life heard an election where the electorate are missing? Where's the rest of the voters? Ali ibn Abi Talib, everyone says, he was washing the body of Rasulullah and he was burying him under the ground. But where's the rest of the voters? Tell me, in which world do you have an election where 3 people decide that's the leader, that's it? Where? Imam tells Umar one day when he sees him, he says to him, if it's in a shura that you say you should be the leader, how could that be when none of the electorate were present? Yes? And if it's in your closeness to Rasulullah that you claimed you and Abu Bakr should be leaders, who's closer to him than me? Yes? They had gathered together at that Sakifa while Rasulullah's body still hasn't gone under the ground. His best friends have gone behind his back and have gone to elect and have made the excuse of what? That we're looking out for the interests of the Muslims. All of a sudden, Abu Bakr becomes Khalifa. If the Ansar speak out, then they are to be attacked, yes? And all of a sudden, missions are sent out announcing Abu Bakr has become leader. The people come to Imam Ali. They say, have you heard the news? He said, what is it? Abu Bakr has just been chosen as Khalifa at Sakifa. Yes? Imam Ali said, chosen by who? He said, chosen by the people. The people have come together at Sakifa. The Ansar have given their pledge of allegiance. The first to hear about this was whom? Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan couldn't believe this. Muhammad's body is still not under the ground and his own people are fighting each other. Phenomenal, yes? Abu Sufyan's like, I can't believe what I've got in front of me. I've got Muhammad's best friends not at his funeral, his son-in-law's at his funeral, and now they're fighting over leadership. Abu Sufyan comes to see Imam Ali. He says to him, listen, I'll send you thousands of soldiers, let's fight Abu Bakr, I'll get you your leadership back. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib looks at him and he says to him, Abu Sufyan, you fought Rasulullah in the revelation of the Quran. You think I'm going to trust you now in the interpretation of the Quran? You come to me now and you say to me you want to fight. You think I don't know what your intention is? Your intention is to make sure division, then you'll conquer the whole religion, correct? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib is similar to Nabi Sulaiman's story about the lady with the babies, correct or no? Remember when two mothers came to Nabi Sulaiman? They came to him, they said, this baby is ours. One said, this baby is mine. The other said, this baby is mine, correct? So Nabi Sulaiman said, you're both saying this is your baby? They said, yes, both of us, this is our baby. So you're both sure? They said, we're both sure. So Nabi Sulaiman said, okay, very well, I'll cut the baby in half. I'll give you one half, I'll give you one half. Then one of the mothers turned around and said, no, it's her baby. Nabi Sulaiman gave the baby to that lady. Why? He said, because a mother cannot bear to see her child cut in half. Ali ibn Abi Talib could not bear to see the religion of Islam cut in half. Yes? If Ali ibn Abi Talib wanted to, there and then he could have fought. And let me make something very clear to everybody in this hall. The same day after Sakifa, his companions came to him. More than 300 came to him. Mawla said, yes, we're all ready to fight with you. Tell us when. Those who've taken your leadership will raise our swords and we'll go out there and fight. He said to them, you're ready? He said, yes. He said, tomorrow morning, all of you come with your head shaved. Sorry? He said, come with your head shaved tomorrow morning. Completely shaved off. Like you've been at Hajj, yes? Come tomorrow morning with your head shaved and we'll be ready. All of these companions, 300 of them, who loved Ali ibn Abi Talib, who saw him on the day of Ghadir chosen, they all said to him, we're going to be there alongside you. The next morning, you know how many turned up? 5. Salman came with his head shaved. Abu Dhar came with his head shaved. Miqdad came with his head shaved. One narration mentions Ammar came with his head shaved. And the other one was whom? Zubair came with his head shaved. Ironically later on, yes? All of them came. One other narration mentions Hudayf al-Yaman. They came to Imam Ali. They said, Imam, here we are, 5 of us. We're ready to fight. If nobody else comes, we'll fight for your leadership. He turned around to them and he said, if I had 40 who had come today, I would have gone out and fought. But the fact that I've only got 5 of you means this is going to be a time of patience for all of us. They all now gathered. And where? They gathered in the house of Imam Ali. Zubair was there, Salman was there, everybody was there. Abu Bakr and Umar, now that they had been placed, now they wanted the pledge of allegiance from Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam Ali, who a couple of days earlier, a couple of months earlier, Rasulullah said, Man kuntu mawla, fahada Ali mawla. Imam Ali, who had been chosen, Imam Ali, who done the funeral of Rasulullah, now they were ready to gang up on the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib to get the bay'ah from him. Would Imam answer them? He wouldn't answer them. Umar ibn al-Khattab's slave Qunfud. Qunfud was the slave of Umar. Umar and Abu Bakr had asked him to go and get the bay'ah from Imam Ali in the house of Imam Ali. He went there. Imam was not answering him. That Qunfud came back. He said to Umar, he said, they are in the house of Ali and Fatima is in that house. Yes? And he said that we are trying to get the pledge of allegiance, but they will not give us the pledge. Umar then leaves the mosque. He goes with Abu Bakr. He goes with Mughira bin Shu'bah. He goes with Khalid ibn al-Walid. This is not just in Shia literature. The following hadith. Ibn Abd Rabbah narrates it within the Aqd. You find, for example, Ibn Qutayba narrates this, Mas'udi narrates this, Yaqubi narrates this, Tabari narrates this, Baladari narrates this. All of these famous narrators narrate this hadith. Umar went towards the house of Fatima to burn the house. They went towards the house of Ali to get bay'ah and to burn the house of Zahra. Yes? If you want, go online tonight, type the burning of the house of Fatima. In Sunni hadith, not Shia. Nobody can deny this. Do you know even Western historians, yes? Western. Wilfred Madlung, Oxford. Valieri, for example. Hazelton. Denise Sufi in her fantastic Princeton PhD, which she wrote a few years ago. Phenomenal PhD at Princeton. Denise Sufi wrote, all of them show that Fatima al-Zahra was in the house and that there was an attack on the house of Fatima. Yes? They wanted a bay'ah. Ali ibn Abi Talib, 13 years earlier, had slept in the bed of Rasulullah. Today he was in a house that's about to be burnt by those who claim to represent Rasulullah. They went towards the house, then began what happened, which was one of the saddest moments in the history of this religion. Yes? They were in the house, Imam Ali and the other companions. They had seen what had happened at Sakifa. All of a sudden, everyone who pledged to Imam Ali at Ghadir had deserted him. There was only a few companions who were left with the Imam. They were in the house. Umar came towards the house with Khalid, with Mughira bin Shu'bah, with Qunfud. They came towards the house. They started putting firewood outside the house of Zahra. Yes? At the door of Fatimah al-Zahra, they put firewood. Fatimah al-Zahra had Hassan at the time. Imam was how old? Imam was 8. Hussein, 7. Zainab, 6. Kulthum, 1.5. And she was pregnant with a child who would be called Muhsin. Yes? When she saw the firewood being gathered, she came near the door because she could see the door moving. There's firewood. Imagine in your house, someone puts firewood outside the house. One day, the wife of Abu Lahab put firewood on Rasulullah. Now Rasulullah's own have come to put firewood on Fatima. Yes? They put the firewood outside the house of Fatima al-Zahra. Imam was with the rest of the companions. When he came, he said, Ali, come out. Give us the pledge of allegiance. Abu Bakr is now your Khalifa. She was there. She said, this is the house of the daughter of Rasulullah. Yes? Because he had said that I'm going to burn the house. She said, this is the house of the daughter of Rasulullah. He replied to her, so what? At that moment, he stamped on the door and the nail behind the door goes in the rib of Fatima. Yes? The rib pierced, the nail pierced the rib of Fatimah al-Zahra alayha salam. Yes? Please switch the lights on. The nail pierced the rib of Fatimah al-Zahra alayha salam. When the nail pierced the rib of Fatima, she fell behind the door, bleeding behind the door, yes? And then Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, many people ask, well, why didn't he defend Fatima al-Zahra? No, he did. In our books, it was very clear that he did. He came towards the man who pushed the door on Fatima and grabbed him from his neck. He held him on the ground. He said to him, if it wasn't for Rasulullah's will, telling me, be patient, I'd kill you and kill all those who have come with you. But before Rasulullah died, he told me, Ali, you will see much trouble after I die, yes? There will be people who will lust for this world, where you should prefer the hereafter. And he said, what do you want from me? You want the bay'ah from me? Here's my hands. Take me towards the mosque. Let me see everybody who saw me chosen on the day of Ghadir. Let them all be witnesses to what's happened to me. He gave his hand out. He said, let's go. Fatimah al-Zahra alayhi salam saw her husband being taken out in that way. Even though the nail had gone deep into the rib, yes? And even though she was on the ground bleeding, she picked up Hassan and picked up Hussein, yes? She picked them up, she started walking. She walked towards the mosque of Rasulullah, yes? When she walked towards the mosque of Rasulullah, she began to speak out against what they had done to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Not only had they done this, they confiscated the land of Fadak from her, yes? They took the land of Fadak, saying the land of Fadak doesn't belong to her anymore. She had come back. There is a narration that mentions, was Fatima slapped once? No, Fatima was slapped twice, yes? That on her way back from the mosque of Rasulullah, as she was coming back from trying to defend Imam Ali, there was a slap that struck her across the eye. There's a hadith that says that after Fatimah al-Zahra had died, there's a hadith that says Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib told Imam al-Hassan, yes? He said to him, Hassan, my son, why do you cry so much? Imam al-Hassan wouldn't stop crying after his mother had died. He said to him, Hassan, my son, why do you cry so much? What is it? He said, Father, if you saw what I saw, you'd cry as well. He said to him, what do you mean? He said, on the way back from the mosque of Rasulullah, we were coming back, me on one side, Hussein on the other. Two men came and slapped our mother Fatima across her eyes, yes? And then Imam Ali begins to cry with him at that moment. He says, no wonder your mother wouldn't look me in the eyes in her final few days, yes? The bruising of the eye of Zahra, yes? They had slapped her. And she had come back towards the house. That difficult period for Amir al-Mu'mineen, yes? Everyone had deserted Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib at that stage, except Salman, except Abu Dhar, except Miqdad, except Ammar. Another of those who didn't desert him, Bilal, yes? Bilal stopped reciting adhan after Rasulullah died. I ask every Muslim, if Bilal agreed with what happened, why does Bilal stop reciting adhan after Rasulullah died? Why was Bilal exiled to Syria? Why was he not allowed to live in Medina? Because when Umar came to him and he said to him, recite adhan, Abu Bakr's your Khalifa. He said to him, I will not recite except for the man chosen on the day of Ghadir, yes? Then he said to him, but Abu Bakr ransomed you when you were a slave. He said to him, if Abu Bakr ransomed me when I was a slave, if he wants me to be a slave, then I will serve him. If he wants me, if he's done it for the sake of Allah, then Allah has rewarded him. But if he thinks I'm going to leave the man chosen on the day of Ghadir, that I will not. Bilal stopped reciting adhan. Never again would Bilal recite, except for Fatimah al-Zahra on one occasion. Other than that, Bilal stopped reciting adhan. Never would Bilal want to recite adhan for those who left Rasulullah's body to go and make their election. For those who usurp the rights of Rasulullah. And for those who may turn around and say, well, you know what, this isn't documented that Fatima died angry with Abu Bakr. In Sahih al-Bukhari right now, if you want, go home, type Fatima died angry with Abu Bakr. The clearest hadith. 1,400 years of history can never delete that hadith. That Fatima al-Zahra died angry with Abu Bakr and did not want Abu Bakr and Umar at her funeral. Yes? That's why I ask all of you in this hall today, I ask you all one by one, where is the grave of Fatima al-Zahra? Yes? Where is the grave of Fatima? Yes? Where, if someone says Fatima died a natural death, then her grave should be known by everyone. Where is the grave of Fatima? Ya Sahib al-Zaman, let these eyes one day sit by the grave of Zahra. Yes? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib would carry the janazah of Fatima Zahra, but Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib had to do 2 ghusuls. My dear brothers and sisters, you don't understand what Imam Ali faced at that age. You don't understand what pain. How many of you have done ghusl of your father? How difficult is it? Ghusl of your mother. Imagine having to do ghusl to the 2 most beloved people within only a matter of months. Yes? He had washed the body of Rasulullah. Then he came to wash the body of Fatimah al-Zahra. You know when he came to wash the body, Asma bint Umays narrates something, it breaks the heart. Asma bint Umays narrates, she said, I was with Ali when he washed the body of Fatimah. Yes? May Allah bless those tears. She said, I was with Ali when he washed the body of Fatimah. Said while I was with him when he was washing the body, all of a sudden he left the body, went and sat in the corner of the room and began to cry. She said, I turned around, I thought, this is Ali ibn Abi Talib, the one who got victory at Khaybar. Why is he crying in this way? She said, I had never seen Amir al-Mu'mineen in my life cry like this. She said, he went to the corner of the room, he put his head between his knees and he was crying. I said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why'd you cry in this way? What's wrong? He said, Asma, if you saw what I just saw, you would cry. She said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is it that you just saw? He said to Asma, as I was washing the body of Fatimah, my hand went on one of her broken ribs. Yes? Allahu Akbar. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. My hand went on one of the ribs of Zahra. Yes? He washed that holy body of Zahra. They took the janazah. When they took the janazah, they carried it. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari narrates something beautiful. He said, we were carrying the janazah. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was carrying the janazah. I was on the other side, and there were angels that were helping us carry the janazah. Yes? He said, at this moment, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Hassan came from one side near his mother's body in the janazah. He said, mother, it's me, Hassan, talk to me. Hussein came from the other side. He said, mother, it's me, Hussein, talk to me. But Hussein lay on the chest of his mother, yes? Hussein lay on the chest of his mother. So when he lay on the chest of his mother, as he lay there, he said, mother, it's Hussein, talk to me. At this moment, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib came to Abu Abdullah and he removed him from the chest of his mother. Abu Dhar says, we asked Imam Ali, why have you removed Hussein from the chest of his mother? He said, because Jibreel just came to me, yes? He said to me, remove Hussein from the chest of his mom. I said to him, why? He said the angels cannot bear to see Hussein on the chest of his mom, yes? The angels were shedding tears seeing Hussein on the chest of his mother. I want to ask each and every one of you in this room, if those angels, yes, you know where I'm heading, if those angels couldn't bear to see Hussein on the chest of his mother, then how did they bear to see Shimmer on the chest of Hussein, yes? How did they bear to see Shimmer sit on the chest of Abu Abdullah? And that's why it was difficult for Amir al-Mu'mineen in those days, yes? He went and buried Fatimah al-Zahra in the middle of the night. Until today, none of us know where the grave is of Zahra. Ya Allah, I beg you one day, let this eye see the grave of Zahra. Ya Allah, let us sit by the grave of Zahra. And that night, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, like every night, he would go secretly in the middle of the night, yes? When he'd go secretly in the middle of the night, he'd go to the grave of Fatimah al-Zahra. He'd cry by the grave of Fatimah. Do you know what he said when Fatimah al-Zahra died? He said, a flower came from heaven, went to heaven, left its fragrance in my mind, yes? And that's what Fatimah meant to Ali ibn Abi Talib, yes? Many years after that, he would reminisce about Fatimah al-Zahra. But every night, he would go towards the grave of Zahra. He'd sit by the grave. He'd cry by the grave. But sometimes the amount that Imam Ali would cry by the grave, it would overwhelm him. He'd suddenly faint by the grave. One night in his dream, he saw Zahra talk to him, yes? She said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you've left 4 orphans in the house. You've left 4 orphans alone in the house. Go back to them, yes? Because Hassan was 8, Hussein was 7, Zainab was 6, Kulthum was 1.5, yes? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib returned back to the house. Hassan and Hussein were sleeping, but he saw Zainab on the prayer mat of her mother, yes? He looked at her and said, Zainab, what are you doing? She said, my mother normally wakes up and prays at this time. So I want to be by the prayer mat of my mother, yes? So that same amount of them who were there that night were there on a night like this night, yes? The same Zainab and Kulthum and Hassan and Hussein who were there on that night when their mother died, now all those years, 29 years later, all of them were around their father's body on a night like this. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. There are so many of us here with hajat, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. There's so many of us who yearn to be with you on the day of judgment, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, yes? All of them were next to Amir al-Mu'mineen. But this time it wasn't Fatima's rib. This time it was Ali's head they had to see, yes? and they saw the head. And the doctor said to all of them, he called Imam al-Hassan, he called Bibi Zainab, he called Imam al-Hussein. When he called them, he said, I want to tell you something. They said, what did they say? These are his last moments. All of you come and bid farewell to your father now, yes? And whenever I say bid farewell, do you know who the first person that comes into my head? Sukaina, yes, wallah, whenever I say bid farewell, Sukaina comes in my head when I remember Karbala, yes? So they all had to come and bid farewell. Imam al-Hassan came, Imam al-Hussein came, Sayyidah Zainab came, Kulthum came, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya came, all the children came. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, he sat in front of all of them. He gave them his wasiyah. He said to them, O children of Abdul Muttalib, be conscious of Allah, steadfast in your religion. Do not yearn for this world, nor should you be seduced by it. Do not resent anything in it that you have missed. Oppose the oppressor. Support the oppressed. Work for the next world. O children of Abdul Muttalib, be conscious of Allah. Strengthen your ties. Remove your differences. For Rasulullah said reconciliation of differences is greater than fasting and prayer. O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to your prayers, for they are the pillar of your religion. O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to your neighbors. For your grandfather praised them so much, I thought they would have a share of the inheritance. O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to his house, the Kaaba. If you abandon it, you abandon your dignity. O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to the orphans. Attend to their nutrition and don't forget their interests in the middle of yours. O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to your fasting. O children of Abdul Muttalib, fear Allah in relation to charity. O children of Abdul Muttalib, do jihad with your money and with your wealth and with your souls. O children of Abdul Muttalib, do not abandon the Quran. No one should surpass you on being intent on it or more sincere than you on implementing it. O children of Abdul Muttalib, if the strike of Ibn Muljim kills me, then only strike him with one strike, for he struck me with one strike only. Allahu Akbar. What a just man this man is, yes? If the strike of Ibn Muljim kills me, then only strike him with one strike, for he struck me with only one. Do not mutilate his body, for Rasulullah would not like to see a mutilated body even of the rabid dog. He gave those last words to his children. They all began to console Amir al-Mu'mineen. I console the Imam of my time, Imam Sahib al-Zaman, if he's here listening to this. He began to call all of them. He said, Hassan, come to me. He hugged Imam al-Hassan. He said, Hussein came to me. It's as if he kissed the neck of Abu Abdullah. He said, Zainab, come to me. The tears began to flow when he saw Zainab. He saw Kulthum. He saw all of them. He began to bid farewell to all his sons, all of his daughters. Then all of a sudden, there was one child he hadn't bid farewell to. al-Baneen walked towards Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. She said to him, Mawla, you bid farewell to everyone. How about my Abbas? You haven't bid farewell to him. MashaAllah, every lover of Abu Fadl, this is your night. He said to her, bring Abu Fadl next to me. When Abu Fadl came, he took the hands of Abbas and he kissed the hands of Abu Fadl. I say to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I wish you had seen when those hands were chopped off your head. Ya Hussein, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali.